All right, guys, I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's January 5th at 4:02 p.m. This is the Budget and Finance Committee. And Angela, I know the list of things that we have to go through today are really mostly informational. I don't think we have any action items, do we? I didn't notice any.
No. There was one that we thought we had potential action on with the food service, but we do not need to take action on that. So I'll just go through, and if there are questions, of course, always happy to answer those. And so, yeah, we'll just kind of go through the list of items. First on the list, if you don't mind me just going on.
No, just go ahead and take over. Yep.
Cooper Rash requests for the current school year. We always in fall work to take requests for the Cooper Raj Funds. Mr. Cooper was principal at Washington Junior High at the time, now Washington Middle School, and set aside a trust along with his sister. So these funds are together. So every year we provide additional funding for special projects. And so Mark and I meet and we examine all the projects that come in as requests, and we take a look at sort of the nature of the request, and we try to make sure that we always make sure that it follows the intent of the trust, which is for special projects that are larger and long lasting in nature. So we don't buy supplies with the money. So that's, and we take kind of a long list of considerations into account when we consider which projects are funded. And so in the list that you were provided, all the elementary schools are receiving something this year. Wilson had maybe found other funding or, just for any special projects. And so Washington had some items on the list, and we didn't have anything from Lincoln or McKinley this year. So it always varies. No one's required to submit for funds. And so some years there will be just a couple of elementary schools and then more of the other schools. So there's not like besides the guaranteed amount for Washington Middle School, which is 25% of the funding, it varies greatly from year to year. So the funds are within what the hey Colin, what the district already has on its books. So we are just more or less sharing that with the board, what the approved proposals or approved projects are for this year. So I don't know, Mark, if you want to add anything to that.
No, I think this has been, how long has the Cooper Rosh been going on? 20 plus years? Yeah. 30 years. So it's been going on for a long time. It is a slightly declining fund, so it won't likely last forever. Maybe there's 10 or 12 more years of that, but it's, again, small amount, $15,000 that our schools get to use to help support some of the special projects they have.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know if there's any questions, or otherwise that's all I have for that item.
Angela, so 25% of that is earmarked specifically for Washington, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Because he was a principal there, so that was what he did. Okay, that's what I thought. When my son went to Washington, that's what I had learned at that time. So thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
If they choose not to use it in a year, can Washington double up then the next year? Like if they have a larger project or anything?
The way it's worded, it's 25% per year, and then that whatever money. So then we retake the valuation of the fund at that time, and then say 75-25. So yeah, that's pretty much how. And we can, for any of the projects, go over. If it's a special project, the discretion is left up to the district for that. Yeah, but that's how it goes from year to year.
Well, that's true. It's just saying they have to have 25%. There's nothing saying they can't have 50. Correct. If they came up with something, I'm just saying.
Yeah, because like you see too on the list that the allotment for Washington this year was $3,700 or $3,750, but then Jefferson, I got a little typo on there. I'll fix that for the final one for the board. Is getting $4,000. So that if they receive a little bit more. So in this case, Washington Middle School did get a little more than that $3,750, just according to some other projects that they had proposed. So yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Angela, I missed the beginning there, so I apologize for being late, everybody.
Not a problem.
But I did have a chance to read this item. How is it that they come by? And you probably touched on this. How do they get this list of what they want and who appropriates what the list is for?
Yeah, so the terms of the trust, talk about like requesting for larger type items, not just disposable supply like items. And so what I changed it up a little bit this year, and we always ask for a description of the project, but they filled out a Google form that said like what the name of the project was, their cost, just some kind of like impact questions, like how many kids would this impact, those types of things. And then Mark and I examine all of the requests. And, just we keep in mind the full scope of the budget and what's, where the needs fall best and can best fit into the intent of the trust. So that we just kind of evaluate that and make decisions from there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so moving on to debt service prepayment update. Just wanted to share that, overall the prepayment of our debt has been a huge, it's interesting process. So we went through the stages, as you know, of doing the resolution with the board. So we did that. We noticed it, took care of that. And then the debt payment was to be scheduled for Monday. We had a small hiccup in that. It went out yesterday, so all is good. Everything is fine there. The main piece I wanted to make you guys aware of is that we discovered in talking to Baird that how we had sort of the money logged as an asset for Fund 38, as that's what your debt service is. Just kind of the past practice was to move money from Fund 10 to 38 every year. And so, because of how it was logged, we have to log it as an expenditure this year into Fund 38. And we didn't plan for that initially. So it doesn't change like how much money we have the money, it just was housed in Fund 10. But it's earmarked specifically for debt service. We can't use it for anything else. And so we're using it for its exact intent. But when we have the financial statements at the end of 21-22, it's going to look like we're going into fund balance more. So what you will see in February, March, when we come through with the first round of budget adjustments, you will notice that in that list. And that's just the reason why. So, we're, using the money as totally as intended and how we need to, and how it was set aside. It's just kind of a logistical piece with how it has to be moved through the process of being just the processing of the transaction. So just wanted to make you guys aware of that. So
Angela, I think at the greater board meeting coming up, then that should be discussed so that everyone remembers that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And if you guys would like me to put together a short memo and explain that, I'd be happy to do that, or just verbally explain it, whatever you would prefer. So
okay,
just let me know.
It makes sense to me, but I just think for down the road, when we get to that point, there can't be any questions then.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose there still could, but
sure.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. And then the next item, food service. USDA made a change in, I want to say November, with the adult meal charge. Okay, so what happened is all student meals are free this year. They were free last year. How that'll continue in the future, we're not sure at this point. But what they ended up doing is they required all districts to raise the adult meal prices $1. Okay, so they increased the meals $1 without giving the adults any additional food, any additional anything. They just were required to increase it $1. So we cycle through about 1,000 adult meals every year. So the other piece of this is that with food service this year, since we're receiving the higher reimbursement rate from the USDA for the free meals and in the sort of delivery, we're receiving a higher reimbursement rate overall, and our fund balance is growing. So what we are doing with that is, and wanted to let you know, is that we are not, while we are increasing it in our system, we are not passing that on to our teachers in the district. They're getting the same amount of food they were getting in the past. Nothing is really changing for them. And actually, when I was talking to our food service director, she thinks that a little less teachers overall and staff members are taking lunch this year just because of how their schedules are working out. That just was kind of her estimate of it. So just wanted to make you guys aware that that was the approach we were using. We don't, because we're getting such a much higher reimbursement rate, we're not concerned from a fiscal standpoint, and Fund 50 is all on its own. So we feel comfortable with that, but just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. And Mark, feel free to chime in, or anyone else.
Do teachers know about this? Oh, sorry, Mark.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask if teachers know that, because it would be great. I mean, I know it's only $1, right? But it's still something that the MPSD is doing for them.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure to talk with you guys about it. We've already made the adjustment in our system because it was effective December 1st, but I wanted to make sure to formally inform you before we officially told them of that. So I'll have some updates that'll be coming out soon, and I'll make sure to share that with staff.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Kathy. Typically, when we have to increase rates, the board needs to approve those. And Angela and I went back in their policy, and it's really only for student fee, like a student piece. So that's where we just said, okay, well, we'll take care of this. And just to clarify too, Angela mentioned to it, Fund 50 food service, the benefits of food service is that you can use that money that you have more reimbursement to buy equipment and to manage the system, but you can't use it to pay other bills outside of food service. The challenge with Fund 50 is if you run in deficit, you have to take Fund 10 and backfill Fund 50. So if we were to run as a negative in that part, we would have to pay for it out of our regular fund. So that happened. That has happened in this district historically, and we're in a good spot right now. We'll just see whenever the new student rates come out, we'll bring it back to the committee, and then the full board will approve it because it will be an increase from whatever we have now, which is $0. Just FYI.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, moving right along. I feel like I'm speeding through here, but we're just trying to be efficient, right? Here's Gears Esther. So we continue to, work through spending the money for this. I work along with the parochial schools to help them use their funds. And then we have a document that we work off in the district. The parochial schools have access to the CARES and the GEARS funding, and most of them have used up their CARES money, but not their GEARS money. So, we'll just continue to work with that. For ESSER 2 money, we're focusing mainly on buildings and grounds projects. So a lot of the ALC project, that is one that's a huge one that's coming out of ESSER 2. And then ESSER 3, we've been staffing in multiple things, modes of support outside of buildings and grounds. We do have to, in order to, DPI is requiring us to survey staff and parents and ask for their feedback of how we should use the funds. So we've done that through the staff engagement survey and parents survey. So we're looking at that data. We have to answer some questions for DPI, and then we have to also present a report just with our plan for how we're using the money and file that for the public. So just from a matter of process, I wanted to share that, I've kind of hinted at that already. And I think I provided like a slideshow at our last Finance and Budget Committee meeting back in October, maybe. But just know that that's going to you'll be hearing more about that. And so we'll be working on that this spring. So. And then moving on to the financial page of the website. On MPSD website, I've been working with just the person who leads the organization of our website. And within the week, I should have it all updated with the recent audited financial statements, the final budget booklet. So I'm just putting the final numbers in there now. just to make sure that is on there and shared with the public. So just wanted to mention that, I've talked about that a couple of months ago and hope to have it done sooner, but it just had to get delayed for various reasons, and will be updated soon. So I'm excited to have that information available to the public.
Nice. Go ahead, Colin.
Yeah, in speaking about the website here, who exactly is in charge of that website? Who's the one that manages it? And
we have a staff member that will input content, but there's many people that are in charge of certain pages on the website. So like the financial page, I'll provide information for that. So.
Okay. Yeah, because there was a thing I got in my email box today, pretty inappropriate material that I'd like to talk to somebody about. So about it and find out why stuff like that is on our website. So, yeah, Mark, maybe you could help me out there.
Yeah, we can talk offline. It not obviously that obviously is some misinformation that poses out there. It's not on our website. Hasn't been on our website for months. But again, I can talk to you offline.
Sure.
So then moving ahead, audit completion, our audit was formally completed in December and shared and posted on DPI website. Usually at the second January meeting, we give like I shouldn't say a full audit presentation, like just kind of an overview of it. We're not any major findings that were, brought up, for this year. Definitely, for myself as a new business manager in Manitowoc, there's always things that you learn through the process and stuff like that. So, it was good to get and complete the full process of the audit. And, we're just looking at ways, there's always just kind of coordination of getting information for auditors, cash reconciliation. We had a little bit more, we had some issues with our financial system, especially with the number of voids and things with COVID. So we had to work through some of that this year, and that definitely caused a delay and just my learning of how, every district does things differently. So, it's a really nice process, and auditor was in here today. I asked him for some, feedback about how, what things to share with the board, and you'll get the full packets and all the information. It'll be on the website as well. So, Mark, I don't know if you want to add anything to that at all, but just wanted to briefly mention that. So,
Angela, before you jump to the next topic there, as far as the financials on the website, do we have our budget on the website yet?
That will, like the full budget booklet. I'm wrapping up final changes. Like I gave you guys the preliminary budget booklet, and then just there was delays on my part, just getting the rest of it updated, and I'm working to get that finished up. So I'm hoping by Tuesday night to have you guys. Cool. You'll have hard copies, and then I'll have it updated on the website too. So
all right, great, thanks.
Not a problem. And then one thing, I've had mixed information on this, but the Wise Finance portal is going to be a new reporting portal for school finances. And DPI has been working on this transition for over, I want to say maybe even 3 or 4 years before I was a business manager. And what it'll be a direct feed and tie to our financial system, so that there'll just be more regular updates. And really the intent and hope on the audit side and DPI side is that audits will run smoother, just, clearing up little questions and things will be smoother. So I thought I'd have more information for you by today's meeting and some links, but what I will be doing is I'll be including that on the financial page of the website, links to that. So if people want to visit that and look at that when it's live, they'll be able to do that. So I'm going to share that.
Is this part of where Skyward is going to help us out with that reporting, or is that a whole different system?
Well, Alio, our current system, ties to DPI just as Skyward will. The main difference is with Skyward, 90% of the districts are on Skyward. And so like the support and the, working out of issues as it's been linked with DPI will be better supported through Skyward for sure.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So, and then zooming right along here, payment of vouchers report. I just wanted to mention quickly that, and get some feedback too. Often there are some questions with the payment of vouchers report, especially with the voids. And and I explained in some emails over the last year and a half that when we have voids on that report, it's one of those things where normally your checkbook, you can just rip it up and throw it out and shred it and, forget that you wrote the check. In our system, we have to formally go through and back it out. So a lot of times what we'll notice on the payment of vouchers is voids for just little, mishaps, things that happen, just normal, like a change of an amount or a request from a payee, how they want a payment to be received. But the largest amount of voids come from athletic officials. And part of that comes because we make the checks out in advance. And then if they get sick or have to decline, then we have to void them out of the system. So connected with the transition to Skyward, we're going to be moving to that they'll be paid after the service, and which is getting to be more typical in school districts. So that'll be less work for our office, which will be, it'll just, be a relief from that standpoint. But then we'll move to paying them from ACH because right now we're paying them by check. So, but just also with the voids, I'm just wondering if because it's a system thing, I mean, now they're like the first thing listed on the report. And I just wanted to see if you guys would be opposed if we put them at the end. I mean, they're still going to be included. There's nothing, we don't have any opposition to including them, but I guess they're just the voids, so it's kind of like a processing piece. So I don't know that keeping them first off on the summary page is the best place to keep them.
It would not make a difference to me where it is as long as it's there. So that's how I feel. Colin,
Definitely.
Lisa?
I don't mind either. That sounds fine.
I'm the
Colin?
same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, if it's in the report, it's in the report. How you put it together, it's up to you.
Okay.
Great. Thanks for asking though, Angela. We appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I appreciate that too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, not a problem. I just don't want to make a change on something that you see looking in a standard format and then you're like, well, hold on, so we may change it for this month. If she's already has the report together, then we'll do it for next month, but we'll mention that with the full board. So, and then the last thing, policy updates, there was a question about this, about just the board system upgrade. Mark, do you mind if I hand it off to you to address that?
No, say. Tell me again. What did you say? I didn't lost you.
Oh, no, that's okay. So with the purchasing policy, we're just on the last item on the agenda. So I don't know if you wanted to provide an update on the board.
Yeah. So thank you for that. So we back in July, something like that. We searched out 2 or 3 different vendors to try to provide us with some new technical equipment for promoting our board meetings virtually in our boardroom. And we've connected with them, I would say, every month or so. And what they continue to tell us is that the parts that they are trying to do that upgrade are part of this struggle to get service parts from overseas. And so we're absent. We're just waiting on them to actually get the parts in. I think the estimated cost was about $50,000. I don't know if Angela, you remember exactly, but
That was about it. Yeah.
So I just want, we used our experts in the tech department to determine which groups we would ask for quotes, I guess, not really bids, but quotes. We had a couple of different groups come in and we took what we thought was the best quote. So, I mean, again, we're still waiting on that. I don't think it has anything to do with the organization or the company that we chose. I think it has more to do with supply chain. And, we're not second or third in the list. They just don't have the pieces and they apologize, but I don't think there's anything at this point that I can do to help improve that process right now. Again, our goal, we have actually internally improved the opportunities when we run our board meetings in the district offices, where we're used to doing them. It's just when we run them off site, it becomes more logistics just because that's not where we're our system is made to do them. So at some point, we'll be able to come back likely to our boardroom, and then the cameras and the microphones and those things are better there for sound and everything. But that's where we are right now.
Okay. Yeah,
I think Colin's question was more about the process of how we handle contracts. Like, what is the process of going about that? Am I correct, Colin?
Yeah, well, that was part of it. I did want to have the discussion as to the vendor operation and, in seeking the solution to our IT troubles. Just to kind of see, are we locked into that? Are we locked into that contract? Is there an ability to move outside of the vendor that has been chosen, or are we kind of just wait until they can provide type spiel?
With our typical purchasing process, we've submitted them with a purchase order. So that's kind of like in a way, a promise or a commitment to purchase from them. So, I would say yes, in a way with that. The formal bid process, Colin, which is outlined in the policy that I included, is like when we get to $100,000 or more, like Skyward, So that's where, we run into so many delays all the time. Like food service had ordered some additional equipment, last year that we're still waiting on. There's supply chain stuff all over the place. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I realize that there's supply chain issues. I just, are we the reason then, my concern there, if we are not obligated to purchase from them and they cannot provide, then maybe we should be seeking elsewhere. And that's where I was like, okay, well, because I mean, I don't know if we have a contract with them, if we just requested some parts from them, what have you.
Sure, I can give you a general. Like we asked. So first, the challenge in some cases like this is there's a very limited number of companies that actually do the work, but we ask them for everything: the install, the equipment, and then the verification and upgrade of that equipment if necessary. So there isn't, on one hand, it's not like we're trying to find someone who does home theaters, right? We're trying to find someone who not only supplies, the online service that we're providing, but also provides microphones, technology, etc. So, yeah, I think we could probably reach back out to them, say, hey, listen, if you can't get it to us, we're out. But I as my knowledge, there's only one other company that actually we would be interested in, and they were significantly more. So, I mean, we could do that. Like we could go to that company. I'm not sure they could come up with the equipment because I'm sure the equipment is about the same. But again, when we get to expensive things, we might have a third party who's going to validate all of that. But this, again, when we do purchase orders for 50, I'm sure we could recall them and say, we don't want your service anymore. But we still would have to find somebody else who want to provide service, and likely the equipment that they're waiting on, somebody else could. We could reach out again and see where they are with that. I haven't done that since before Christmas. And then, I would have to talk to our tech team. They're the ones who kind of vetted the groups that were, providing the quotes. I didn't get the quotes, they did. And that could ask if there's another company that we might choose besides them. We could do that.
Okay. But yes, Kathy is correct. I did want to know a little bit about our contract process because, we had that DeRoot debacle. There was the uncertainty as to what was going on, if this was a contract or not like that. So I wanted to know kind of when the board does begin getting engaged in, is there a point to when we start weighing in on contracts?
It's more at that $100,000 threshold. I mean, we even have where they're required to get 3 bids for 3,000 items, $3,000 and more, but a lot of districts raise that up to $10,000. I mean, and that's kind of what, we may want to consider as a committee to do that. So we, very regularly will collect multiple bids or multiple quotes. The bid is the official process when it's $100,000 or more. But then, just the additional quotes we get on a very regular basis. But then you have things like Skyward's a good example. So Skyward there's one main company that services most districts. The choices are limited. So sometimes you can't get 3 quotes because you're just not going to get the same, it's apples and oranges what you're going to be getting, but you'll still have 3 quotes. So, there's usually the formal board approval with the $100,000 purchases and above.
Okay. And that's the only criteria, is that it is that dollar amount, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we haven't had any trouble with that, in the recent past. So we've been following our policy. So.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep. And that's all I had on that on the agenda. I don't know if there's anything else to wrap things up.
Any other questions, guys? Anything you want to talk about?
No, I'm all good. Thank you.
Okay. If not,
I'm good.
Oh, sorry, Colin, what's that?
I am good. Mark, did you just want to stay online? And
Yeah,
then,
we'll have Angela. Well, you got to end the meeting first. How's that?
Right. So I'd like to have a motion to adjourn, please.
we'll make a motion.
Lisa, if you're making a second, you're not.
I'll second. Sorry.
All right, thank you. We are adjourned then. It's 4:33, and thanks, guys. I hope you all stay safe and warm today.
Yeah.
And I hope you had a great holiday too. So.
I did.